Welcome back, everyone. So, this is the second episode. Today, something important is going to happen. The first trade routes are going to actually come into existence. More effectively connecting both sides of the Eurasian continent here. Oops. So, yeah. Then they realized the path those early explorers took was complete. This is just all in. Completely no need to sail. And meanwhile, yeah, Atlantis is being discovered. Or rediscovered, who knows. Now, this has mostly just served nothing so far. Then they think about here's a good route for sailing back, and so they sail back. First, they see what's around here before doing so. Now, they're not really claiming anything. So, yeah, the winds are still like extremely unpredictable. And they discover Iberia before realizing that it's connected. So they decide to sail along the coast and see if a connection exists, which means this area is also being searched for a connection. Plot twist, one actually exists. Spoiler alert, one exists. Then they realize they discovered more of Europe. So yeah, they go down and then discover this part of Africa. They continue just exploring. However, this leader of this country here has some rather unique ambitions. And so he formed this rather large country at this point in time. Oh, here, yeah, these warlord states had vied for dominance. This group just escaping over this way. So, anyways, back to the discovery. This civilization over in the east is not content. Decided to see the extent of these islands. And yeah, spoiler alert, this is Japan. Or at least what we call Japan. They try to see if they can sail over. They can. They start pondering if there's a big landmass in the middle. Nope, they do find some islands. And yeah. So then they decide to sail. And then this group decides to sail across the Caspian Sea. See what's, you know, in here. And they discover this thing does not go out like that. Of course, this knowledge is all being archived separately, so like this group here doesn't know that this group discovered Atlantis in Canada. Now, these, you know, post-human things have been creatures have been surprisingly peaceful with one another. Of course, they try to discover more to see if this group is kind of just isolated. They don't really know about much. Now, of course, I'm just taking the combined knowledge of all these groups. Eventually, they discover that no big landmass exists between Korea and Japan, so yeah. They decide to just, you know, see what's down here. And, yep. Kind of predictable that they don't really find much in the in terms of like continents. Of course, while India is being discovered, yeah, Atlantis, secrets of Atlantis are slowly being uncovered. Now, yeah, they really don't want to go to war because their first experience war left them forced, you know, grasping ever more differently. So yeah, while Atlantis is slowly being discovered, knowledge of Iberia is slowly being filled in. And some mountaineers here decide to check out these mountains. Of course, this is eventually filled out. Do know that some of these discoveries are happening simultaneously, whereas others are kind of slowly building up. Of course, one group decides to settle Iberia. I don't know, they turned Iberia into their home. You go out this way and discover these islands. Meanwhile, yeah, at the same time as that Iberia expedition, yeah, this is being funded. And yeah, parts of northern Africa being discovered. Although, yeah, this guy still kicking, sets his sights out to see if there's a way to sail down. And he finds an island in between, so he tries again and discovers more landmass here. And then he finds out that, yeah, there's a connection between that. Eventually, he decides to just send his explorers to find a land connection, and lo and behold, one exists. Seeing the map now, yeah, Lemuria and Zealandia seem a little too far off to, you know, discover proper. Well, these guys here have become a little emboldened, so they decide to see what lies beyond what they already know about the Indian subcontinent. So, just a bit. So, yeah, and then we have the first ever, you know, proper war. These, this dude really wants take over. He wants to go and conquer these pieces of civilization here. Now, at first, this actually succeeds, and it knocks out this country. However, this one is left standing. However, the other two are left standing before the first ever peace treaty is signed. And yeah, peace treaty is simple. Just all of the lands that some of these lands are connected like so. Oops. Let's see. I feel like some of these are sufficiently far enough where I could use similar colors without them looking like they're the same country. Who knows? See ya. See ya. This guy discovered. Yeah, that warlord. That, like, first, like, emperor guy discovers that, yeah, war does not have to involve forcing a body, forcing their bodies to just be, you know, where you want. Although he does. Although he did use that technology to secretly disperse any recessive gene. These Black Sea populations that would effectively make their pups or whatever you want to call their babies born without arms. Yeah, that technology exists. They still have the remnants from a very advanced civilization. See, eventually this Atlantis based country forms its own, like, you know, civilization that starts profiting off of the trade. So now more traces more traces of civilization are discovered, like Europe-wide. Now I actually picked like somewhere between the Netherlands and Doggerland because that's where I saw like the least flash. But also, basically, I did a whole mathematical balancing act, choosing the balance where it's kind of populated with where I didn't see those, flashes of light. Mhm. See, they're soon about to discover Italy, but in the meantime, these guys have been slowly trying to figure out what's in the middle there. And say, oh, funny how they haven't they've gotten to Italy basically last. They just had other directions. They really prioritized other directions. Eventually, these guys are able to set up a decent trade route. Eventually, they decide to see if they can link up their trade route with anything at roughly the westernmost point. In other words, they're trying to figure out what this Eurasian interior looks like. Now, of course, that gene that Emperor stuck in was recessive, so it wouldn't take you know, that little time in order to show up. Hmm, that's a bit of a predicament. Eventually, these like crossroads groups start thriving off of trade that runs through roughly where the trade that goes on through their territory. Oh, geez, I didn't check the time. Yeah, I'm just gonna get one last war in. It's between these two. Yeah. So yeah, this one just takes a kind of just going on a conquering spree. Eventually, this guy's complete. Eventually, that one is completely wiped out. Some sides just flee eastward. Eventually, kind of forced to stop. So yeah. Anyways, so this is our map going into episode 3. So thanks for watching.